Whether it's ski or sun, slopes or sand, fly from Norwich this winter. The Pink 'Un Show, sponsored by Flybe.
Well, it's a little bit quieter out here and a little bit darker than it was earlier on today. Sadly, it is kind of the result that we feared, I think. Norwich City going down here 1-0 to a Bradley Johnson goal. I mean, I hope you all put your money on that if you were going to put some money on the game, because as far as scripts go, that was a fairly obvious one. Bradley Johnson's first goal of the season as well. And I've just spoken to him, and he's quite effusive. Well, I guess he's going to be nice to his old club, isn't he? But he did say Norwich have been the best side that have been down here at the iPro / Pride Park this season, and he is confident they're going to turn it around and that Alec Neil is the right man to take the club forward. So that's his views. Maybe that would be what he says, but he does still keep in touch with his old teammates, so we'll have to see how that all pans out. But as for the game, I mean, Norwich did okay. They started well. They actually looked like their old selves for the first probably half an hour, I'd say. Derby did then come back into it. They just tightened their shape a little bit, and that helped give them a foothold in midfield. And from that point on, the game was pretty even. And to be honest, neither goalkeeper really had much to do for most of the game. Stephen Naismith probably had Norwich's best chance at the start of the second half, but Norwich never really got going in that second period. And Derby eventually got chances, got better opportunities, and the one that fell to Bradley Johnson he took really well, and that probably always looked enough to settle the match. Sadly, it was weird. It was 1-0. Norwich were trying to force the issue, but you almost weren't convinced by that increase in tempo they were trying to put in. And I mean, whether that's the result of their lack of confidence at the moment, I don't think there was particularly anything tactically wrong today. And the effort was there, although there were some tired bodies. Yusuf Malumbu playing his first game and playing the full 90 minutes as well in a long period of time. He's happy. Are you happy, man?
I'm absolutely delighted. Great result, great win. Listen to this man who knows his business.
Fair enough. Good man. Thanks for that. There we go. Great stuff. So there we go. Always nice to have some praise. Where was I? Because I've kind of forgotten. Yes, Yusuf Malumbu playing his first full 90 minutes in God knows how long for Norwich. They had injuries, Alex Tetty going off, possibly with a hamstring strain. Cameron Jerome has got a niggle. I don't think it was from the penalty shout. He got a bit of an arm in the face from Alex Pearce. I think it's possibly a back issue that he's got. So there's a kind of issue there with Cameron Jerome, which isn't great. Carl Lafferty got the whole second half and a couple of one half decent knockdown. I think that was about it. We didn't really see much of him away from that. But it wasn't so much an issue of all those things. It was almost a lack of, well, certainly a lack of belief. And then in general, a lack of quality, to be honest. I think they defended okay, but they did concede a goal, and maybe it was slightly fortuitous. But they did concede that goal. And ultimately, that's 5 wins on the spin now, which is the big issue, because Norwich they're trying to make up for something, and they're not really looking like they're capable of turning it around with what they've got, and that is a major issue, given that we head to Brentford now at Carrow Road, back of 5 straight defeats. And quite, to be perfectly honest, Norwich need to start how they did today, but make it count, be more purposeful in front of goal, and then hopefully that can at least be the start of snapping the run, because I think we're at the point now where they have to snap the run. One thing they're not going to do is snap their ownership or the manager, because I would imagine we will almost certainly have Alec Neil in charge when we go to Carrow Road next weekend. So I think it's probably going to be crunch time. The fans at Carrow Road will get their chance to really say what they feel about what they're watching, and hopefully the players and the manager as a collective will produce something that they can get behind and give them a bit of hope that this godforsaken spell is possibly in some way temporary. Because if there's no sign of that on Saturday, and there were at least a few positive glimpses today, if there's no sign of any of that on Saturday, I think that will be that. Where do you stand with that, Pad? Because there were positive signs, yet the same kind of outcome. How do we balance it out?
Yeah, I think that probably sums it up, mate. In isolation, you'd say there was nothing in that game, and they've basically really got done on a sort of a counter, which apparently I didn't see it in real time, but by all accounts took a little deflection as well from who else but Bradley Johnson. But and at the other end, I've seen it in real time. I haven't seen it since. Alex Neil certainly thought so, and he's had the benefit of video replays. Looks like they've had a clear penalty turned down. No surprise from Mr. Hooper, given his form with Norwich. But Jacob Murphy's gone through and apparently he's just been clipped by Butterfield tight to the byline, 89th, 90th minute. So, as I say, it's fine margins. They fell the wrong side of it in isolation. Of course, it isn't in isolation. It's a 5th straight defeat. So, really, the same issues stand. Can he get a tune out of a set of players to win games, which he should be doing with the resources he's got at his disposal, irrespective of the injury problems he's got, and he's got another 2 today, unfortunately, with Jerome and Tete having to come off in the second half. So, my timeline is full of people who are very unhappy tonight, and that isn't just based on 90 minutes here at what is obviously a tough place, a team who are clearly heading in the right direction. It's the situation we've found ourselves in now for a month or more, and Alex Neil summed it up best when he's asked, are you in a rut? Can't deny it, this is a rut, but it clearly looks like he's going to be the man who's going to have another opportunity or two to turn it around. So we move on to Brentford. So, any gnashing and wailing of teeth about time to go, Alex, it's irrelevant. He's going to be here at Brentford Saturday, 3 p.m. Carr Road. And whether that's the tipping point if things don't go well, because there'll be 25,000 rather than however many travelled here and however many were at QPR the week before. If there's 25,000 basically saying your time's up, it's very difficult for that to be ignored, I would have thought.
Yeah, it could be a very different story at Carrow. We will, of course, see. I did think that was a penalty in that late penalty shout when Jacob was brought down. I must admit, in real time. Did you kind of feel the same?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it looked. You can just sort of tell, can't you? Really, even though we're a bit of a distance away, and the manager, you'd say he might have tried it on anyway. But I mean, he was straight away turned round, raging at the 4th official, so he thought it was a penalty. And I suppose the run he's on, never mind his team, you probably feel, well, that's what happens really. But you could say the counter argument, if you're relying on a penalty shout in the 89th minute, you probably haven't created enough, and they didn't really, albeit Stephen Naismith had a very good chance early in the second half. He's gone through one-on-one, Carton's made the save, seemed to lack conviction, the shot. They get their noses in front, you just feel this crowd, they were already sort of starting to turn as well, because in the first half, I think that was as good as I've seen Norwich, albeit we haven't much to measure it with in the past 4 or 5 games, but collectively they looked like they knew what they needed to do in terms of the intensity, the pressing. It was all there, and I don't think it was any coincidence. It was as a result of Malumbu coming back in alongside Tete, and it gave them a bit more energy in the centre of the park.
Yeah, it did look like they were a bit back to their normal selves, if you like, although they didn't really work Scott Carson much. And the injuries are a little bit of a concern, aren't they? Alex Tete picking up a knock, Cameron Jerome coming off with one as well. He said it was first decent set of minutes Yusuf Malumbu had in a very long time. So, and we got to see Carl Lafferty in the second half. So it's sort of all change, isn't it? And goodness knows what we're going to get at Carrow Road on Saturday.
Yeah, well, in terms of personnel, definitely, because obviously it's too early to tell now. But with Tete's injury record, apparently it was a hip problem. Alex Neil said after the game, sounds like something he might have been struggling with in the past. So if that's a reoccurrence, could be touch and go. And Jerome apparently has been struggling with a back problem all week, and back injuries are very delicate as well. So it might be all change again in certain areas of the pitch, but it's really irrelevant that sense in terms of which 11 take the field against Brentford. It's really now, I think, all about the result. I mean, you could say in isolation they've given a performance today, albeit maybe after about the 60-minute mark you could see the tank emptying with the Mulumbus of this world. And it was really, probably Derby kind of coasted the final 25 minutes or so. But at least there was some crumbs of optimism in terms of performance. But really, that's, for me now, that's out the window. It's 3 points or nothing next Saturday. Otherwise, 6, heaven forbid, 6 defeats on the spin. It's very difficult to see how he can continue in the post, really, whether the board want him to continue or not.
Cheers, Pad. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Michael.
Whether it's ski or sun, slopes or sand, fly from Norwich this winter. The Pink 'Un Show, sponsored by Flybe.